And when we whoop enough ass, everybody gonna get in line and do right.
All right. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have MDP in the house today. Peace and blessings. Twin Pyramid in the house today. Peace and blessings. And Deacon of Reality in the house. Peace and blessings. Doc, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Well, of course, we got Dr. James Jones. We got Sister Cassie Realm in the Bush. Peace and blessings. How y'all doing today?
Good, brother.
All right. All right. So our topic today, does the black man have a God complex? And we're going to be looking at Daddy Grace. He is a black man that he said that he was God. We're going to look at his works. We're going to look at what they're doing today because his United House of Prayer for All People is still in operation today. And every time a Daddy Grace dies, they vote in another Daddy Grace. So it kind of is like the Pope. When the Pope died, then the archbishops get together, go in a room, and elect another Pope. So we're going to be talking about Daddy Grace and what he brings to the table, and what's the deal with this God complex? How is it? How should it be used? How should it be seen? And where does it originates from? So let's go ahead and get started. Doc, to you, what is a God complex?
You know, in many ways, what you're talking about is, for our people, our relationship with God is, number one, natural, organic one. But at the exact same time, we do.
Sister Cassie, can you hear me?
I can hear. Yeah.
Okay. I think Doc having internet issues again.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, we got you.
After I finish this, I'm gonna switch to what I had to do last time we was on
Okay.
hotspot. I'll just do it that way.
Okay.
But the one way is a natural. We're God's people, have always had this connection to God, to a higher power, regardless of what you refer to him as. And then we have another population and another source of us reaching out for God, and it is hard times. And so Black folk have always had hard times in this so-called democratic nation. Having said that they've had hard times, it's not accidental that you're going to see the rise of a Daddy Grace, a Father Divine, Fard Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, around that Great Depression, post World War I period. Our people are looking for a really, in many ways, a balm in Gilead, if we can use that scriptural term. So the God complex, I believe that if you define it as yearning and reaching for God, that our people could be considered to have a God complex. Yet at the exact same time, we have some of us following an individual like Clarence 13X who believe that they are God. So our debates and our fights have always, in one way or another, especially when you're talking about intraracially, have included God in one way or another. And I yield, brother.
All right. Thanks, Doc. Sister Cassie, God complex. What is it? What is that to you?
Wow. Woo. Well, God complex. Wow. Oh, Lord. I don't know. I don't even know what to say to that. I just don't even know because I was reading up on this Daddy Grace person, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why we always have to look to a leader a dysfunctional leader
Mm-hmm.
instead of creating movements. Leaders in the past, they've murdered, they've jailed, but a movement, if we globally would create a movement, they wouldn't be able to hurt that movement. You understand what I'm saying? So when I look at
Mm-hmm.
the godlike complex, and I do see it in the Black community, only in the Black community do we see this. And it's almost like we're looking for that leader. We're looking for that person that'll stand up that we can get behind. And every time, if we don't understand that leader, that person that is going to free Black people, they murder,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or they give them jail time. Okay, we've had a couple that tried. We had one NFAC, everybody, oh, but he was trying, and what happened? The so-called agent got 7 years. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so to us, we're always looking for a leader instead of, like I said, creating movements. So to me, the godlike complex is what we always look for. Black folk always looking for a leader, and a lot of times those leaders are what's that? What the boy name? What the man name?
Something.
Okay, and what, Jesse Jackson, all those
Mm-hmm.
dysfunctional leaders who have done nothing, who have led nothing, who have freed nothing, who have done nothing for Black people. But we still look to these dried up leaders, knowing that they're sellouts. We still look to them to be our gods.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What is wrong with us creating our movements? Okay, that's going to help us to get free as a global
Mm-hmm.
conscience, as a global group, and stop looking to a person, because from what I'm seeing, those people have sold us out. Those godlike complexes that we're looking for, they always sell you out, or they've already sold us out. But we still rally behind them, rooting for them to do what? Just what they've always done, nothing. So we stay stuck and we go nowhere. Or then we'll have a leader like MLK, who was a godlike figure to us, who led us absolutely into a burning building that we're still in. If you notice, look around you, you're still in that burning building. And we don't even have sense enough to get out because our godlike figure led us into that building. And now we're looking like, now what we do? Now who? What? You're looking crazy, and
Mm-hmm.
still don't have that movement, and we're not creating anything to get us free. So that to me, it's a false narrative.
Mm-hmm.
But we still look to our leaders to have that, but it doesn't exist.
So, one thing that came to me as I was doing some research on this, in the Bible, where God made somebody, I forget which person he made, God made them the king of Israel. And, before God doing that, they didn't have a king, right? And so he allowed them to have this king, and he kind of like, I'm not going to necessarily say take the place of God, but, he's pretty high up there. Is that the beginning of our problem of always looking for a godlike figure? Sister Cassie, and then we'll go back.
I do believe so, because we've always, and even biblically in that same story, he was asking the people, hey, do you want me to be your king, or do you want a man? And what did they say? They said, we don't want you. We want a man. We want to be like everybody else. That was the norm of the story, the gist of the story. So, and we're still doing that today. Just like 4 years, we vote. Who are we voting for? We're voting for white supremacy to be over us. The same people that keep their foot on your neck, we vote and we fight over these white supremacy men that don't do nothing, will never do anything, has never done anything for you, but we fight for them every 4 years, and we'll go against each other for them to keep them on top of you, instead of you backing up and saying, hey, hold on, let's take a look. Let's look and see what these people, these gods that we've placed on top of us, who don't even believe what you believe in, how you believe, but our pork chop pastors, who are supposed to be our gods, who allow this dysfunction into their pulpits, and we don't see anything wrong with the party that we keep putting over us. who believes in transgender homosexuality and same sex and all this crazy stuff. So when do we get to the place where we're waking up and saying, hold on, this shit ain't working for us. Let's do something different. Let's turn around and create our own party, create our own movement instead of a leader and calling them our gods. Because we've been looking to God for a long time, who's not coming. He's not here. So what do? We have to begin to come together and recreate this thing. We got to recreate. We got to do something different. We've been doing this for too long, way too long, and it's not working. Time to do something different. I rest my mic.
Thank you, Sister Cassie. Doc, what say you?
You know, when you're looking, and I won't go all the way back to biblical times, but when you're looking at Black folk, meaning the American descendants of slaves, we've always had a tradition of quote unquote leaders. Even when you're talking about the moment of American chattel slavery, you go through that roster. You're dealing with a Frederick Douglass. You're dealing with a Denmark. You're dealing with a Nat. You're dealing with a David Walker. And I would be remiss if I named David Walker and did not talk about the first woman, period, regardless of race, to deliver a stump or political speech before a mixed audience, and that would be Mariah Stewart. We've always had these spokespersons that have stepped forward and given voice to the angst that our people are going through. And I applaud them for that. There is a moment and a role for that. You have to remember, you know, scripturally, when you talk about to whom much is given, much is required. Many of our people, even to this very day, and it's one of the things that warm my heart, is that when I go into my building and I'm going into my office, I work at a historically Black college. It's not predominantly Black as far as the faculty goes. But when I go in and I always, because this is from whence I come, my grandparents, my grandmothers did day work. And I believe that there's dignity in all work. So I'm always very friendly with the custodians who work in our building. And they tell me, they're like, you know, it does us proud to see you up here, you know, speaking for our people, teaching our kids in X, Y, and Z. And I'm not a title person at all. But they told me, they said, listen, when you make them white folk call you doctor, our spirit just soars. So, you know, that became my thing. I don't respond now unless you refer to me as Dr. Jones in a intellectual or academic setting. I do that for them. Our leadership has got to have those individuals who are willing to step forward and speak truth to power. For those who don't have the words to do so, or don't have the ability to do so, or the analysis to do so, we're the privileged ones, and we have to speak for them. That's one hand of leadership. But then there's this other form of leadership that can be taken to task somewhat, some elements of it, and it is quite simply these organizations. History tells us without a doubt that organizations must battle other organizations. An individual is going to lose if you're battling an organization. If you do not have allies and alliances, look at, you know, if you go back and you look at Boogie Down Productions' edutainment album, KRS-One, he uses these skits, and he has Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael talking. And Kwame Ture says it this way. He says quite simply, take George Washington with all his grandeur and how great he is, and you put him in the middle of Valley Forge by himself, he can do nothing. You take King and you put him in the middle of Birmingham, and by himself, surrounded by nothing but racist bigots, he can do nothing. But you take this Washington, you take this King, and you surround them with like-minded people, then they can do something. That's what leadership is supposed to be doing. That's what Black organizations are supposed to be doing. We missed the mark on that, just as we missed the mark on our owning and guiding our own educational institutions, our own economic sectors. We failed in the basic things of Malcolm's definition of Black nationalism, that the Black man should control the politics, the politicians, the economics, the schools of their community, like every other group does. We failed at that. So I'm not going to say that we shouldn't be looking for leaders and leadership, because they, eloquence. Black folk are, as Khalid Muhammad would say it, we are a rhythmic people, and you have to give them information and inspiration at the exact same time. It's one of the reasons why many of the people who love this show and love Brother Maurice, they've told me, like, man, that brother, I like that brother right there, and blah blah blah. And these are diehard, ain't gonna bust a grape Christians, but they're inspired by how this brother says what he says. I say all that to sort of end it with, the person whose political ideology I think that we need to re-examine is actually Ella Baker. Who we rarely talk about the women of the civil rights movement, but Ella Baker taught the students of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee about decentralized leadership. And she offers this warning. She says, what do you think is going to happen to SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, King's organization, if King is killed? It's going to fall apart. And that's what happened. She says, but with SNCC, what I want you to do, I want you to have a national spokesperson. And just imagine a wheel. In the center of that wheel is the national spokesperson. And around that wheel on every spoke is another leader. So if something happens to the national spokesperson, you continue to roll. Decentralized leadership. Problem with that, though, and it's a glaring problem, is quite simply that Black folk don't know when to go lay it down. Al Sharpton shouldn't still be on the scene. If Brother Jesse didn't suffer them strokes or whatever he suffered, I guarantee you he'd still be in front of a microphone. There needs to be an understanding that you're a doomed person as a Black leader. If you succeed at what you're trying to do, you're no longer needed, so you're doomed in that way. If you fail, okay, you're going to be doomed that way as well. Your job should be to move the dial some way and to pass that leadership on to the next generation. Train others to do what you know how to do, instead of fighting them to maintain what you have deemed for yourself your only position and sense and moment of importance. And I yield, brother.
All right. Thank you, Doc. I want to welcome Norma X to the program. Peace and blessings. I want to welcome Emil to the program. Peace and blessings.
My man.
I want to welcome Tranquil to the program. Peace and blessings. Also, we want to welcome, I don't know how to pronounce this, C Dog.
C Dog. You know C Dog. You know C Dog. You just don't know you know C Dog, but you know.
Oh, I know C Dog. Okay.
You know C Dog.
All right. Well, I want to welcome everybody to the house. And our topic today, does the Black man have a God complex? And one thing I want to think about is there's always, as Doc you referred to earlier with the Great Depression, that because of the Great Depression, then that produced Daddy Grace, Father Divine, all of these type of people. So when we're looking at what is the cause that produced all of these things, I don't know the answer to this question I'm about to ask you all. It just came to me after Doc said what he said. You have the Japanese who suffered their thing, the Chinese suffered their thing, so different groups suffered their atrocities. But I don't know of any group, I don't know of a man from Japan, a Japanese man who rose up and said, I'm God. I don't know of a Chinese man who rose up and said that I'm God. I don't know of an Indian man who rose up and said that I'm God. So my question is this God complex kind of squarely on Black Americans and quote unquote white Americans, because you had a few of them to raise up and say that they are God. Is this thing between these two groups? Doc, what say you?
You would need to have, and I have a strong suspicion that the ascension of individuals who are terming themselves God is not unique to Black folk.
Mhm.
Okay, when you go back and you look at the even on this land base, you look at the Mormons. Okay, Brigham Young. These they're advancing that type of ideology, and I know the Japanese have a couple who have done that. I want to say that Mao Zedong likened himself to being somewhat of a god, the leader of his people and what have you. So I don't think it's germane to just Black folk, but I do believe that I know that the history of Black folk lends itself to that. Because when you really think about it, poor people have always, and Black people as a minority population, a numerical minority population in this nation, have always had to go ahead and move collectively, really take a position of their strength in numbers. Because if we didn't all live within, on the, let's say, the south side of Chicago, if we didn't live in the 5th Ward of Houston, the 3rd Ward of Houston together, we would be subject to marauding whites. With those limited resources, we had to rely upon each other. And that collectivism, it lends itself to wanting to be away from white institutions, from white thought, and from white leaders. And it's just natural. It's how it's going to develop over time for a poor, oppressed, downtrodden people. We're going to join together. If you go to Houston right now, it's called Midtown now, but it used to be called Freedmanstown. Recently emancipated Black folk who took a swamp and turned it into what could arguably be called one of the most precious low geographic locations in the city right now. It's right outside the city.
So, Doc, I want to make sure I'm understanding you properly. You're basically saying that these negative conditions will produce a person to claim that he's God naturally. It's not something that, he's not sick, or it's natural type of thing.
No, I think that what I'm trying to say is that these conditions cause collectivism. And collectivism often leads to the generation of institutions. Okay, we need to pool our resources to take care of each other. And I believe that out of that tradition, you're going to have charismatic leaders who are going to rise up. And let's be honest, that when you're talking about Black leaders right now that are on the scene, can you name a single one that made it national, made it big, that was not charismatic?
No.
Yeah, we're rhythmic people. You have to be able to as Rakim put it, you got to be able to move the crowd. And if you can't do that, our people are by and large not going to follow you in your program. Even if your program is one like Booker T. Washington, they could very well move them a great measure towards liberation.
Okay, excellent. Sister Cassie, what say you?
A lot of times over the history, there has been several that have proclaimed to be God, but we as Black people, we've always looked to God, and we've always wanted to put a person in front of us, on top of us, to be our God. Whether it's a person or rather spiritual or natural, we've always looked to that person to be a leader. and from a lot of the religion, the Christianity and the religions that we've all fell into has always called or put a person, or I guess I want to say the religion, but the person, they've always put or held up a standard as far as a person. For instance, Martin Luther King. I'm gonna just go back to him because that's the one we know, who's always, we look to a guy who told us that he had a dream, okay, and we really thought that what he stood for was going to be something that we would kind of all get along. We really believe that, okay? Without really doing the homework or without really investigating to see and to understand how it all happened before, not even realizing that we've done that before. We've done this before forever. So for us to continuously looking for a person, a leader, because none of our leaders have done anything for us because of who they are looking up to, okay, who they have allowed to be on top of them. Okay, so we can only get so far when you have a person that is paying you to be you, to that's paying you to be a leader of a group of people, but leading them down a wrong path. But we still don't seem to understand the tactics. And it comes back to knowing the tactics. And when you don't understand the tactics of a man or a tactic of a culture, you begin to repeat the same thing over and over. Okay. You begin to look to the same people that are leading you down the wrong path. You still believe that maybe one day they're going to wake up. Maybe one day they're going to redirect us, or maybe one day we'll get it together, or maybe one day, without even having the mindset of wanting to do it for yourselves, to be redirected, because we have a culture of people that will take you, that have created our history and that have created this way of thinking for us. And instead of us waking up to the fact that we've been programmed to think and to look and to act the way we have, instead of us understanding that and redirecting ourselves, we continuously to look for a God-like person that doesn't even exist for us, because what are we doing here? What's really going on? We're looking for something and hoping and praying that it really exists. Okay. And as far as MLK, we looked to him and we trusted that he was going to do the right thing for us. And instead of us understanding the bigger picture, we was just looking at what was in front of us, not understanding that we had been here before. We've done this before. And what did we do? We turned around and went back to Egypt, because we thought, man, we out here and we're by ourselves. It was just better back there. But we did that before. It wasn't better back then. Not understanding the harm of what we were doing, because our ancestors that we know freed us, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't give us a God. Our ancestors told us, okay, this is what we need to do in order to be free. We have to go over here and set ourselves apart. Okay, we don't need to look for other people to help us to be free. But what did we do? Threw it back in their faces and just kept going. We threw it through the land and all of what they created for us. We threw it back at them and we turned around and said, I don't want that. I want to go back over here. Let's keep trying this over here. So when do we get to the point where we're understanding that that's not working? Let's go back over here. Let's do it over here. Let's do it different. All right.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Sister Cassie. Like Doc, you brought up Booker T. Washington. Sister Cassie brought up Reverend Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson. Now, these men didn't have, they didn't come in saying that they're God. They came in doing the work of whatever it is that they wanted to do. I think when you come in and saying that, you are God incarnate, you are him, that really sets you apart from people like Booker T. Washington, Sharpton, all of these. It gives them a different playing field. Why is it that, because Daddy Grace, as we get into, he didn't have a little small following. He had a huge following, huge. And so there was something there that Black people saw, were able to believe in, and take hold to. And by it still going to this very day, that they still are up and running, says something. What is that attracting power that Daddy Grace was able to capture the people and hold them to this very day? Doc?
I mean, you know, the old gospel saying, your arms are too short to box with God. You know, if this man, if you have faith, and let's keep in mind, faith cannot be disproven. Okay. What is it? The substance of things unseen and the presence of things hoped for, or something like that. You can't unprove that. And so what they're offering when they position themselves as God, and I don't care if you're talking about Jim Jones and the Branch Davidian, I don't care what you're talking about. You're literally saying to people that if you have faith and you are obedient to me, I am God. I will solve your problem. I'm going to solve your problem. You just have to increase your faith. That's a much different argument than talking about the idea of what Black folk need to do is do cooperative economics. That what we need is political solidarity. No, if you're telling people that you are God and you fall in line with what it is that I am teaching you, and you have enough faith, your problems will be solved. You know, the old, I know Yolanda Adams popularized it. The battle's not yours, it's the Lord's. Wake up, stand up, clean up, get yourself righteous, and Allah will fight your battles for you. So if you position yourself as God, you're offering the true, ultimate, undeniable, nobody can stop it solution to your pain, suffering, and misery. And in many ways, what we're talking about is peddling hope and freedom to people who have been hopeless and without freedom or any reasonable chance of escaping. It's one of the reasons why you'll find a Daddy Grace, a Father Divine, their organizations being very insular. They only deal really with each other, and they build from within. So you're all, by fashioning yourself as God, you're light years ahead of a civil rights or even a human rights activist or leader. And I yield.
Thank you, Doc. Sister Cassie?
To me, it's almost like a demonic brainwashing thing where we are looking to a God. Because as we look to a God to free us, that means that we're not looking to free ourselves. It's almost like no matter what happens to us, no matter what they do to us, we're sitting back and we're waiting on this godlike figure to come and free us, right? Even as far as when we believed that Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, back in the day, we used to believe that they were going to save us. We believed that when Jesse Jackson ran for president, that, oh yeah, Jesse Jackson was the man. And nobody saw that he was a sellout. Nobody saw that he really didn't care about Black people. He only cared about himself. Because what has happened over the years, nothing. He was the leader. Al was the leader. And nobody has done anything for us. So we're still looking for a man, a godlike person, even with this young man who has taken that position, still not freeing the people, still not helping the people to understand what's really going on, still not teaching them how to be free. But they're following behind the same old setup that it's always been. You know, when we had Moses back in the day, okay, they had Moses. Okay, Moses at least freed them, at least got them free, at least took them to the pot, you know, at least took them to the river, at least helped them to get free. These leaders now claiming leadership, but still we're stuck. Where are we going? We're going nowhere. Yeah, Daddy Grace is The leader of what? Of a whole lot of brainwashed people that's what waiting for, really believing this man is God. Okay. So they're not building, you're not doing anything to help yourself. You're waiting for this individual to help you to get free. You're not building on your own freedom. You're not separating. You're not building banks. You're not building anything to free yourself. You're actually literally waiting on Dr. Grace to free you. They're waiting for this man to lead them out of Egypt, to lead them into the promised land. And all these years, he's not led you anywhere. You're still struggling. You're still under white supremacy. You're still, dying in their hospitals. You're still coming up missing. You're still being police brutality. Nothing's changed. But you're still believing and hoping and praying that one day it's going to be different. One day these white folk going to stop. One day they're going to stop abusing us. One day. No, we've stopped even trying to be free because you're still waiting for Daddy Grace to do it. And Black folk are still waiting on this Black God to come to free us instead of us building, because he gave you the authority to do it. He gave you the authority to become free. He gave you the authority, just like David said, can I go and pursue it? He said, yes, and you're going to recover. You're going to win. But you got to step out there and you got to do something. But that's not what we're doing. We're waiting, and we're just waiting and watching. Okay, where's the next Moses? Where's the next NFSC? Where's the next grant? What are we doing? We have this godlike person that's not building, that's not doing anything, that's not freeing anybody. But we're sitting here waiting and dying. But even if you have a person, like for instance, and I'm gonna keep getting on NFAC, I'm gonna keep talking about him, because we had a person that was at least talking about it, at least going in that direction. And what did Black folk do? We talked about, we downed him. Oh, we called him an agent. We did. But you didn't call Al Sharpton that. You don't call Jesse Jackson that. You didn't call James Claiborne that. These are people that's in leadership positions that's absolutely leading you down to hell. And nobody is saying anything about them. But let a person come and say, at least trying, thinking about it, talking about it. It makes us afraid, because we really might be free. We really might can do this. We really might can get 1 million people together. We really might can do something. Oh my God, but they're killing us, but you're dying anyway. So we're looking for a leader, and the wrong leader at that, because the leaders that we have aren't doing anything, or not even trying to build. And I rest my mind.
I want to go to what Emil said, and it follows what you were just saying, Sister Cassie. And I want to just add on to it. Emil says that people, especially the impoverished nations, have been looking up to a deity for centuries, putting faith in it to help them. What has been done? Nothing. We continue to live in a despotic society. The one of the questions is that when we look at these different countries that go to war, like World War I or World War II, and both sides believe in the same God, and they're praying to the same God to help them to destroy the other. Just doesn't make sense. But this thing is continue going. Today, you'll see boxers get in the ring. They both Christian, believe in the same God, and they're praying to their God to help me to beat up my so-called Christian brother, in the fight. And it's like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. So, the question is, does believing in a deity really help you at all? Doc?
Most certainly. I submit to a higher power. There is a higher power than me. I am not God. And me coming in alliance and being aligned with that higher power certainly helps me. It steadies me. It creates context for me, organization. I am truly always in continual prayer. So yes, I can say without a doubt it aids me and it helps me. Now, I also kneel before a God that has repeatedly said, faith without works is dead. I have faith and I also have works. Now, for those who are doubting that there's a higher power, there's nothing I can say to you. Um, you're not my kind. Let me say that. But for those who believe there is a higher power and they don't see a difference in their life or a difference in the struggle, increase your work. Increase your work. Do something significant beyond just sitting up and talking about what the problem is. Be proactive instead of being reactive. So yeah, I submit to a higher being. I am not God, and despite what, some of the characters on here, who assign me as part of the LGBT walk community, um, I do not look at myself as the highest power of all time. So it definitely helps me.
Doc, let me actually, I want to get your point on this part of the question as well. When you have people that believe in supposedly the same God, and they're both praying to that same God to have victory over their supposed to be brethren.
Yeah.
How does that play out? I mean, and of course, you said you're not God, so you can't tell us what He thinks. But that has to be a brain issue. What's that?
With how great and grand God is, and with all the things that I imagine in my small human mind that God deals with on a daily basis, I'm damn sure that He don't give a fuck if the Houston Texans made it into the playoffs. God is not a sports fan. Okay, God is not a R&B singer. He's not a country singer. The idea that you can petition God and He will intercede on your behalf is foolishness. The greatest description, and despite what some folk who think I don't like white folk, I actually graduated from a white high school 1 year. Okay, Mansfield St. Peter, and Catholic school. And one of the things that I remember from that experience, as far as curriculum goes, we had to take basically Catholicism class. And I've been raised up in, as a blue blood Baptist. So it was very interesting to me to hear about purgatory, in that when your loved one go and you ain't sure that he made it up there to be with God, you could pay the priest money and he would pray his ass on up into heaven. I knew it was a scam then. However, one of the things that I remember is a theory of God that to this day makes sense to me. And they refer to it as the clockmaker syndrome. And basically what they're saying is that God is like a clockmaker. He creates the clock and then He starts it. And that clock goes. Now, if the clockmaker wants to alter the time a little bit, the clockmaker is going to be able to use his hand to intercede in what it is that He created. I believe that is what God does. That is what miracles are. That in His infinite wisdom, if He decides that He wants to intercede in the earthly realm, He has the full power to do it. He's omnipotent. However, to think that you're able to grab the attention of the clockmaker and say, yo, move the clock forward 10 minutes, that's foolishness. God is not concerned with no damn sporting event. God is concerned with the machinations of the world. Justice, injustice. Okay? And to follow that line of thinking, and this is probably the most public moment where you had two individuals praying to their God. You had Evander Holyfield, who came down to Fred Hammond's music, and he's praying to Jesus. You had Mike Tyson, who came down and he was praying to Allah. Now, Evander Holyfield defeated Mike Tyson. Are we to believe that the Christian God is better than the Muslim God? It's foolishness. On the results of an athletic contest, it's something that I pay no never mind to, brother. None whatsoever. However, I will say this: whichever God is, may be a sports fan. Please help the Dallas Cowboys to win a fucking Super Bowl this year, because it's been a long time.
I can tell you now that ain't gonna happen. Sister Cassie, what say you?
That's cute. I think us believing, and it's okay to believe. I'm not saying anything about your belief. Believe. I do believe in believing. Okay. I do have that relationship. But I believe that has caused us to become powerless. It's because it has caused us, it's almost like it's paralyzed us, because we don't move forward. We're not taking serious matters into our own hands, because we're looking for him to do it for us, but he's looking to you to do it. Okay. He told us how this thing should go. He told us to be separate, learn not, and come from among. Everything he told us to do, we did the opposite. But we'll say, oh, I believe. But then what he told you to do, not to mix and mingle, we mix it and mingle it. He told you, don't do this, don't do that. Everything don't eat this, don't eat that. Everything. But we say we believe, but do we really believe? Come on now. Because we'll say it, but then when it comes really down to us really doing what he called us to do, and walking in what he called us to walk in, because it looks so hard sometimes. We can't separate from them. We need them. We can't not go to their schools. We need their schools. We cannot we can't be separated totally from them. That's really not what he meant. It can't be, because he told us to love the whole world. But see, we have to understand the revelation of all of that. We have to walk in the true belief that faith without works is dead. We have to really understand that sometimes it's going to look crazy, but if we continue doing it the way he told us to, that it's going to be all right. But we've allowed this whole thing to paralyze us into believing that he's going to come and fight your battle. Vengeance is his. We don't have to do anything. Okay, so we're kind of contradicting ourselves, because I keep reading that scripture where David asked, is it okay? I'm going to keep bringing that thing up. And he said, yeah, it's okay, and you're going to win. So when do we not? And, so it's kind of like a contradiction. So some that's afraid to fight will say, well, he said, vengeance is mine. And then you have the ones like myself that said, well, David did this, and so it depends on your belief, and it depends on how much boldness you have, I guess, and how you were, your upbringing. But there's nothing wrong with believing, but I don't believe that we're supposed to just sit there and not build. I have people telling me, well, every time you build, this is what happened. I'm like, so what, do you just sit there and don't do anything? Do we never separate? Do we never buy our own land? Do we never build our own villages? Do we never, separate our children? Do we continue working for them? Do we continue not having our own banks? Do we continue? Come on. I believe that we're supposed to be doing as we're on this earth. I believe that we're supposed to be separate. This is why Black people have so many problems with other folk, because of the simple fact of them believing in higher power, but not doing. You're believing in something, but you're giving him all the credit. He's supposed to free you. He's supposed to do everything for you, and you're not supposed to do anything for yourself. That's not true. I don't believe that at all. I believe it's okay believing. I believe it's okay to worship, I believe it's okay to get in the corner and have that quiet time, but to get the plan on how am I going to free myself? How am I going to kick that police? What am I going to do about the police brutality? I believe that's when you get the plan, but I don't believe that he wants you to just sit in that corner and not do anything. And I rest my mic.
All right. Thank you, Sister Cassie. And we want to welcome Brother Isaiah to the program. Peace and blessing, Brother Isaiah. Glad you were able to make it. And we're talking about, does the Black man have a God complex? I want to okay, my mind is kind of split, because I want to go here, and then I'm going to come back to the comments, because it's something that I've noticed sitting here listening. When we talk about our great leaders, Marcus Garvey, even if you want to call Daddy Grace a great leader, Daddy Grace, Master Farad Muhammad, none of them came from America. They all came from the outside. So this island right here, this little red dot, let me bring it down because it's right here. This is Africa. So Daddy Grace came from this island off the coast of Africa, off the coast of West Africa. He came from this little island right here. He came from that little island right there and made his journey over into America. And I'm assuming this part, saw the condition of Black people and said, I got the key, I got the answer, and began to say that he was God to bring up the answers that we were looking for. Why is it that the people that have, I would say, a big impact on the fabric of Black life, that you can look at their tree and see what they produced? You can look at the tree of Master Farad Muhammad, see what he produced. You can look at the tree of Daddy Grace, see what he produced. You can look at the tree of Marcus Garvey, see what he produced, right? None of them came from us. None of them came out of the slavery right here in America. They came from other places. Master Farad Muhammad came from Northeast Africa. Daddy Grace came from the coast of West Africa. Marcus Garvey came from Jamaica. Why is it that it's always coming from the outside to affect the inside? Doc?
You know, I would disagree that it's always coming from the outside to affect the inside. I think that you're shortchanging the grand traditions of Douglass. Is what they would refer to Adolf, Booker T. Washington, Mariah Stewart, Anna Julia Cooper, Du Bois. You know, the list would go on and on and on and on. But what I do believe that a figure such as Garvey, these foreign, as ironically as Du Bois would refer to them as foreigners. Du Bois and Marcus Mosiah Garvey had a very public falling out, and Garvey told Du Bois, "You write like a child and overestimate your importance to my life." And Du Bois ironically referred to him as a foreigner, and this is before Du Bois really becomes the world's leading Pan-Africanist. But I think that what those leaders, and if you look at the history of Du Bois in particular, for that moment where he was advancing the idea of the talented tenth, Black folk, Adolph's folk, have largely been aimed at rallying the elite, the educated class. David Walker is an educated man. Mariah Stewart is an educated man. Douglass, educated. Garvey, on the other hand, grace, divine. Garvey says, I'll give you the talented 10. I want the untalented 90. And so they have the masses of people, numerically speaking, that are going to fall into with their programs. Whereas Adolph's people are in many ways rallying and talking about developing Black businesses amongst a power elite of the nation. These that are coming from outside are in many ways appealing to and talking to. And keep in mind, we talked about the economic suffering in the Great Depression being one of the things that contextualizes these movements. That's what you're seeing as a difference. And it gives you the illusion that their reach was further. And I guess one could say their reach was further because they're never going to be followed by the Black elite, the Black intelligentsia. They look at them as clowns. They look at them as being beneath them. You can look at even the way Black America is set up to this very day. Who 20 years ago was hooping and hollering in the church? The poor, the uneducated. You didn't see Bob Johnson doing that. You ain't never seen Michael Jordan doing that. That is in many ways considered beneath them. They have too much money for that. But for common black folk, we still rely upon the Lord and the emotionalism that comes out of the pulpit that doesn't necessarily give us any political economic power. And I yield, brother.
But Doc, how can you, because and correct me if I'm wrong, how can you equate ADOS with the followers of Daddy Grace? I don't see that. I don't. How could you equate ADOS with
No,
the
no, no,
followers?
no, 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 no. I'm talking about where the leaders are coming from. When you look at a Grace, you look at some of these individuals who are coming from the outside. They're coming with the expressed intention. It is an intentional strategy, especially when you look at a figure like Garvey. Garvey is he recognizes that you guys are talking about black folk integrating these white institutions. Keep in mind, the boy starts at Fisk, but he ends up at Harvard. Okay, and he's not the only Negro there. That's where the black leadership is coming. That's where they're getting their ideas from. And what they're attempting to do is replicate what they think they see white folk doing as far as their path to uplifting the race. These guys who we would refer to as foreigners are coming into this nation, and they are speaking to black folk. They're speaking to the untalented 90% of American descendants of slavery. That's what I'm saying. They're still speaking to black folk, but there's something peculiar about the black psyche, that the more education that we get, the less we are really hands on with the masses of the people. We act as if we've arrived. And we're going, oh, well, I'm the head of the National Urban League. And well, you're not dealing with the masses of the people anymore. And that's the populace that a Garvey would talk to, a Daddy Grace would talk to. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Doc, for clarifying that for me. Sister Cassie, what say you?
Help me to understand, because I see us all as one. I do. I don't see a difference in us and them. I see DNA, and DNA don't change. I see that grandpa and grandma, great came from there. So when we say that we're not a part of them, and when we say, oh, they're coming from, well, we came from there. So, and that's part of that God complex. That's part of that God, the vision, because we used to think like that. We used to think. We have a brother now that's out of Burkina Faso, and I'm gonna show you his picture. This young man right here, okay, is making a change. He's making a difference. And that is the type of leader that we need. We need a leader. And like I said, that's my brother. I can't look, because when I went to Africa myself and I stood beside this same brother, they weren't able to tell us apart. All they saw was black. So when we come here, we make a distinction and say, oh, we're not part of them. We're not part of Africa. That confuses me, because we used to think like that. We used to think the way they think. We used to think that we were the gods. We used to think that we were the leaders, and we thought different. We talked different. But now we've gotten so colonized and so that we want to be like white folks. So we begin to think like them. That's what's going on right now. So I look to them and I said, that's how we're supposed to be. And I'm not talking about this Daddy Grace or whatever person right now. I'm talking about what I'm seeing now coming alive in the leadership of Africa, the new leadership of Africa. That is who we are. We used to think the way this brother thinking now, but we've gotten so colonized under white folk that we don't even know how to think to be free. We don't even know how to think, how not to offend white folk. We so busy trying to care about their feelings, trying to make them like us, that we don't even know how. We don't even think about being free anymore. We don't even think about being separate from them. All we know is that we don't want to offend them. So we have to get along with them. We have to tone down our blackness. We have to talk like them. We have to look like them. We have to perm our hairs like them. We have to look as close to white as we can. That's why black folk right now, I'm looking at black folk, men and women, and we having all these mixed race babies. We're whitening ourselves out, genociding ourselves, and don't even understand. We used to be them. We used to think like them. There's no different, than the ones over there. So I don't believe that. I believe it's coming out of the motherland because of that's where we started. That's the original place where we started. So that's why I think the thinking is a lot different now, because they came out of those islands. They thought a lot different than we think right now. We don't think the same way as we used to. And you can look around yourself right now. You got half black folk right now don't even want to be black. We don't even call ourselves Africans. That's what we are. We came from there. We started from there. But we're so I'm African. I'm not. Sometimes they say I'm an American. But what the hell are you talking about? Your ancestors, your DNA came from there. So I have an issue when we try to put that separation in there. There's no separation. We're all one. When they look at us, they don't see, So we came from there. So that's where it's originated. So that's why I think that's where it came from.
So I think, Sister Cassie, let me go back. Everything that you said, I'm in agreement with you 100%. We're not separating, saying we're not part of Africa, we're not part of our people, wherever they are on the planet. But the question more mainly deals with none of them arose from amongst us, meaning none of them was right here in America where we were. That they came, like this one, Daddy Grace, from this island to America. And as Doc pointed out, he didn't go to the high class, he went to the low class to pull them and say, look here, I'm coming to save you. Now, when we look at Marcus Garvey, Daddy Grace, and Master Fard Muhammad, their effect, Daddy Grace are leaving there because their operation is still going today. So it has that staying power. Marcus Garvey, his organization is alive today and still working. It has that staying power. Master Fard Muhammad, the Nation of Islam, it has that staying power. But none of them rose up from amongst us. They came from the outside to affect the inside. Mm-hmm. So the question is, why do you think that is, that we couldn't have that originate amongst us? Because even the people that Doc pointed out with Du Bois, Douglas, their effect, if we're measuring effect, there's nobody that I know of that there's a Du Bois organization or a Du Bois society that's working for the upliftment of our people, or Booker T. Washington that are doing these things. So to me, their effect was for a certain time and period, and then it seemed to drop off. And, because we know of them, we carry their messages with us. But to affect the masses of our people, it took men from the outside to come in the inside to affect the greatest change amongst our people. And my question is, why do you think that is?
I believe because they had a different start. They didn't start the way we started here. They didn't go through the slavery that we went through. They didn't go through the white supremacy mindset that we go through, and even back then. It was totally different. They thought totally different than we think. And I think it was all in the beginning of where, that was the motherland. That's the beginning of all civilization. And it was totally different. The mindset is totally different in those days than the mindset that was here. Because when we came over here, we used to think like that, of course. But over the years, it got tainted by the effects of white supremacy, by the environment. Their environment was totally different than our environment. They weren't as colonized. They were colonized, but not as colonized, and they didn't go through slavery. They still, thought the way they thought because that was the original. That's my belief.
Okay. That makes sense. I can buy with that. I can rock with that. Thanks, Sister Cassie. Mm-hmm. Brother Isaiah, what's your thoughts on that? We know it, and you're, of course, you're in the DR, but you come from here, from America, with us.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about late. What time is it there right now? Image
509.
509. Okay, okay. I thought it was like two hours behind. All right, I apologize, guys. But yeah, there are three rings of power: politics, economics, and spirituality or the religion. For me, we've had leaders coming from America. We can't not say that. And one of the better leaders that are not so heavenly bound that they are of no earthly good was Reverend Ike. He preached what should have been fucking preached all along. You have the power, and not no white man, not no statue made out of clay or whatever the hell it is, what, alabaster, whatever it is, and with a white man, blonde hair, blue eyes, or whatever, or even black. Because the bottom line of it is, the Jesus is the Son, literally the Son, and the 12 disciples are the 12 astrological sons, along with a lot of other things. But if people don't want to believe that, okay, fine. But the idea is that you are the gods of the earth, black man, black woman. We created every aspect of civilization: math, science, biology, astronomy, physics, you name it. And we were the gods that the world looked to. When you look at, and correct me on it or not, Doc, Mali, Ghana, and Songhay, Timbuktu, the University of Timbuktu, we ran and established the oldest fucking civilizations in the world and the oldest universities. Oxford was created by black folks, and first professors of Oxford were black. So I'm kind of feeling what Sister Cass is saying or said, and what Doc said, but you gotta get the real deal, Holyfield, as to where the power is. It's on Wall Street. I don't give a fuck if a white man, a yellow man, red man. I don't give a fuck. The only color that really matters is red for us. I'm sorry, green for us. You understand? And when you're looking at Wall Street, and a lot of people don't know whether white or black or yellow, a lot of people don't know about the stock market and where the real power lies. And matter of fact, I was looking at the Mississippi Power and Light, Brother Muhammad. To take over Mississippi Power and Light, would like, you don't need to buy everything, all of it, just 51%. That's only $8 billion. Oh, $8 billion. Well, that's a lot of money. No, not really.
Brother Isaiah.
Not really.
Brother Isaiah.
Not really. But hear me out. This is where financing comes in at, and this is where the power lies within us and for us and by us when we began to associate with banking entities, not only in America, but in Africa.
Brother Isaiah, I'm going to have to interrupt you for a second because you're not answering the question that I asked you.
No, I'm getting to that because I wanted to.
I know we ain't got all. Come on now, get to the answer that I asked.
You know how I am. I want to try to add different things to it because the idea is that the God complex comes from the power of politics, economics, and religion. And when we have the opportunity to run that scheme of money that affects the politics, that affects the spirituality, the freedom, and what I can't even remember what basically what he was saying, but the economics of it dictate the politics. Power can see nothing without demand. And when you are looking at the overall scheme of what is going on in America, what runs it is money. The power of money, the God of America and the world is money, gold and silver. You can't get around that. And we've had plenty of leaders in America that came and try to do this, that, and the other. One of my best leaders was John Rogers in the field of Wall Street. You cannot deny that man. That man went from zero to billions of dollars as far as what the hell is it can call money management. You know what I mean? So I seen this brother go from nothing to something. And the idea is that we got to get away from being so heavenly bound that we're of no earthly good. That has no weight or direction as far as I'm concerned. But you know, I'm kind of miffed about the name dropping. But you know, you can't dismiss all of the people who have been and established cities and towns and Black Wall Street. Those brothers and sisters have long gone, but they count. They are the part of the will of our power base and the perfect example of what it makes and what it takes to make it. And you know, for me, you just can't, you know, get around that. I mean, power has to have money behind it. If all you got to, if all you doing is just yelling and screaming, that's good. Protesting is good, but at the end of the day, you go home and you know, you don't have anything. You know what I mean? So when I'm looking at power and light, as far as Mississippi Power and Light or Florida Power and Light or whatever, the opportunity to take it over is there. But you have to have the connections, you have to have the wherewithal, you have to have the get up and go to get it. Because there ain't shit coming to you. And white power, as far as politics go, that's a whole other thing. But it can be it can be I don't know if that's a word or not. It can be unbalanced by the takeover because we already know that white folks ain't gonna give it up. You gotta take it. You know what I mean? One corporate entity at a time, one state at a time, one state at a time, one, you know, I don't know, what do you call that? The alderman? Yeah, that's a city, right? And whatever else. But the idea is that, you know, you got to start somewhere. And, you know, leverage buyout is very real. And the opportunity to make a difference is very real. But you got to start with the economics first. And anything else is just pure bullshit. We can get mayors and probably governors in place, but if you don't have the backing, like to have a political action committee with money and whatever other trapping that go along with that, as far as bribes go or whatever, you know, you got politics make strange bedfellows. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta sleep with some people that you don't want to sleep with, but that's politics. And to wrap it up, I would say this: it's two very important Bibles that we must read. One is called The Rich and the Super Rich. It's a really old book. And the other one is a 3-volume book that deals with power. The 48 Laws of Power, The 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene with an E at the end. And then another one that deals with men and women relationships. But the first two, the first three, The Rich and the Super Rich, and 48 Laws of Power, and 33 Strategies. You got 33 strategies of war. You got to be in it. You got to get it, man. Because if we're not Machiavellians, you just fucking around. That's all you're doing. I'll throw it back at you.
All right, thank you, Isaiah. Well, you got to try to remember, because I still don't know the answer to the question, but I don't need you to go back and go back over again. Don't even worry about it. We're going to move on. But try to answer the question that I asked, because this is what the people tuned in for.
Oh, okay.
Excellent. So let's get into Sweet Daddy real quick. Let me share the screen. And so this is Sweet Daddy Grace, Charles Manuel Sweet Daddy Grace, from 1881 to 1960. Oh, and I just want to interject, because Brother Isaiah talked about Reverend Ike. And I didn't know this till just now, but Reverend Ike just passed away in 2009. He had a stroke in 2007 and passed away in 2009. So he lived amongst us. I wish we could have had a conversation with him and kind of picked his brain a little bit, but back onto here. So this is Daddy Grace. And again, he's from West Africa, off the coast of West Africa, Bravada, Cape Verde Islands. He was one of 9 children born to Emmanuel and Deloba de Garcia. In the early 1900s, the family moved to New Bedford, Massachusetts, where Grace worked numerous jobs before founding the House of Prayer in 1921 in West Wareham, Massachusetts. In 1923, the second House of Prayer was established in Egypt. And 3 years later, the United House of Prayer for All People was founded in Charlotte, North Carolina. And they're still up and running in Charlotte, North Carolina. They have churches all over. Poor Blacks in urban areas were drawn to Grace's ministry, operating under the Pentecostal holiness practices. Followers witnessed musical brass, shout bands, miraculous physical healings, and mass baptisms. Under Grace's leadership, the United House of Prayer churches experienced growth and economic prosperity through the purchase of real estate in the United States and abroad. The church received revenue from donations and the sale of products named after their founder. Critics opposed Grace's popularity and flamboyant appearance and lavish lifestyle that included wealth, jewelry, and mansions. The Internal Revenue Service and numerous individuals estranged from the House of Prayer brought lawsuits against Grace and his religious organizations. None were successful. It is estimated that Grace founded hundreds of House of Prayers across the United States and overseas, with an estimated following over 500,000 parishioners. Daddy Grace died January 12, 1960, in Los Angeles, California. Following his death, Walter McLeod succeeded him as the leader of the church. So, and as I say, they have a new quote unquote Daddy Grace now that's leading the church. So his message of prosperity, his message of, I guess, him being God, pulling in 500,000 parishioners, and they're still operating today. That's power. That's power. Of course, when we go and look at, I've looked at a few of the videos and we'll get into those. Nothing that Daddy Grace said would have captured me to be a follower of Daddy Grace at all. But there's something to say about his ability back then to do what needed to be done. So the question that I would have, if, and I'm saying if, because we don't know for actual facts, if Daddy Grace really had 500,000 parishioners, do you think, as Sister Cassie said, that you should be able to affect change to the enemy system? Do you think that they would have been able to stand up to the police, to be able to start their own thriving community and make their own cities that they could actually take over? Why do you think that they didn't do things like that, that they kind of stayed in their lane and accepted the oppression that came with that? Doc?
You're really talking about a major project when you're talking about taking over a city. You're talking about a major project when you're talking about taking over even a part of a city. This is a religious movement. They're going to be insular. They're going to have their own offering. They're going to have their own social clubs and the elements and things like that. But that's a far cry from being able to take political power from someone, even locally. It's not that they're failures. It is quite simply that they have limited resources and limited manpower, limited support, um, in regards to what it is that they want to do. And especially when you begin to talk about having followers across several states, in several cities, maybe, and this is one of the things that we rarely talk about when we talk about the Black Panther Party in its latter years. The Panthers got to a point where they wanted to take over Oakland, the Oakland mayor's office, and they actually ran Bobby Seale for mayor, and Elaine Brown ran for some other position, I believe. And they called all the Panthers to Oakland, and the plan was to flood the voting rolls to be able to take over municipal politics, because they realized that they would have hundreds of millions of dollars at their disposal if they were able to do that. They didn't really fail. They didn't win, but they did force a runoff, and they ended up ultimately losing during the runoff. But that's a Herculean task for a relatively small religious set. And you're also talking about, it's almost an impossible task for a people whose greatest problem is their mental disorganization, hatred of each other, to be able to come together in one voice and to support a Black movement. We really haven't seen that happen in this nation in probably the last 60 years. So they didn't fail. They made an impact, but they didn't overthrow this system. This system is a monster. And I yield, brother.
Doc, let me ask you. You pointed out that it's insular. Is that the weakness of religion? Because they don't seek to change the lay of the land for its members. It doesn't seek to, bring you out of the oppressive grip. So is that a failure of religion?
I would say, and just focusing upon Black religious expressions, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a failure, but I will say that they're trying to reform a system that hasn't worked for them by just cutting off a little sliver of it and saying, well, this will be our area and this is how we'll live. And, well, you're still going to have to deal with capitalism. You're still going to have to deal with police brutality. You're still going to have to deal with all of these things that made you come together and plead with God to save you. So I hate to call it a failure, but it is myopic. It is short-sighted. They're not going to be able to create a heaven on earth.
So does that make them irrelevant?
Wow. No. And the reason I'm saying no, they're not going to change the world. They're not going to reorganize local, state, or national politics. But I'm reminded of a quote, ironically, from Huey P. Newton, a co-founder of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. And Huey says we must always remember that to move one grain of sand is to change the world. So I'm not going to dismiss their hard work and their dedication and what have you. It did change the world, but it didn't change the world in a way that the suffering that their people go through was eradicated.
Okay, thank you, Doc. Sister Cassie, what say you?
I think that with the power that this individual had, with 500,000 people, he could have changed the world. Our ancestors did it back in the day. They separated everything. That we had separate communities. They bought up land, they purchased homes, they built homes, they had their own businesses, they had the transportation. We were well on our way. And to have somebody with that much power and not do it the way it should have been done, that Christianity is what ruined it. When you get and understand what religion and Christianity really does to a people and what religion and Christianity is really all about, they couldn't grow because you limited your thoughts by with the Christianity religious mindset. So doing what our ancestors, the plan was already placed. It was already laid out for us. So following that same plan, oh yeah, we could have stopped police brutality because the way doing that would have been by taking your money away from them and totally supporting your own selves. You have your own government, you have your own police department, you have your own medical team, you have your own everything. Okay, yes, they can purchase, they can't live amongst us, but they can come in and purchase, make a purchase here and there, but you can't live here. You can donate your money, but you can't live here. He had the power to do that. With 500,000 people, he could have done that very easily with the right mindset, but he didn't have the right mindset, and that's what failed. He didn't have the mindset of building. He didn't have that mindset that our individual ancestors had of separation. Our ancestors had already did it. So it could be, in fact, done again today. It's not too late. It's not too late. But we just have to change people's mindsets because we've allowed them to overrun our mindset, to teach us what we can and can't do. So as far as us building now, it's going to be harder because we've been so brainwashed to believe that we can't do it. But we taught them how. I'm going to ask the question again. How does the student or how does the teacher become the student? So yes, I do believe it. If he had the right mindset, he could have alleviated a lot of stuff of what we're seeing now, where Black people are now, that prison reform. We wouldn't even need prison reform because we wouldn't have been amongst their jail system. We wouldn't have been amongst their injustice system. We would have had our own system. We have our own rules. We have our own everything. We don't need to mix and mingle. That's what we're seeing today. You take Black folk today and separate us from them. Who's gonna be in the jails? 1 or 2 white folk? You understand what I'm saying? So yes, we could have done it. We were doing it before MLK came in and gave us white supremacy dream of us coming together because he was being paid by them. You're not gonna tell me he wasn't. That's why they killed him. Because when he began to wake up, now I want something different. Now I can't use him the way we could before. So now that man, Martin Luther King, had a lot of power. So if he had done it right, we would have been separate. If he had really went after reparations like they said he was going to, our world, it would have been a total different world because we would have been like the Jews. We would have been set up. We would have had the money to do what we needed to do. And that's the threat of today. So I rest my mic.
Well, Sister Cassie, let me ask you the same question that I asked Doc then. Because of what you said, does that make religion irrelevant?
Religion is totally irrelevant. Totally. What do we need? Religion. We need relationship. We don't need religion. Religion keeps you blinded. Religion keeps you dumbfounded. Religion keeps you comfortable. Religion keeps you under a barrier that you can't do. I'm waiting for somebody else to do it for me. No, he gave you the authority. What are you waiting for? So I don't believe we need religion. We need relationship, but not religion. Religion is as we see, we can look and see what religion has done. We don't need religion. We don't need Christianity. We need relationship. And that's what it's about. And until we understand that, this is why we're going to remain at the bottom. Because we're still going for everybody. No, it's not about everybody.
Now break that down, because you said, we don't need religion, we need relationship. What do you mean?
Relationship and religion is totally different. Religion is the mindset of the mindset of somebody else doing it for us. Relationship is us going to him, getting the plan and working the plan, doing it totally different. You understand what I'm saying? We're not religion was to dumbfound people. Religion is to keep you bounded. Religion is to keep you believing that I'm waiting for somebody to free me. I'm waiting for somebody to get revenge for me. I'm waiting for somebody. But when you have that relationship, you'll begin to hear what he told David. Go out and build. Go out and you shall win. Go out and do blah, blah, blah. And you shall recover all. That's the difference in a relationship and religion. Two totally different worlds. And you can see it. You can see what the religion did to our people. Look at us today. We believe that we're still waiting on God. We're still waiting. But he told you to go build. He didn't tell you to wait for him. He told you to go get it. Go do it. And I'm going to back you. So what are we waiting for? That's the difference in the relationship and the religion. I hope I explained it to where you guys understand it.
Yes, ma'am. So you're saying with 500,000 members that we could have had Black Wall Street in multiple cities.
Absolutely.
And protected each city with that amount of people.
Absolutely. We could really truly rule the world. That's why they gave us a religion, because they knew with religion we would be dumbfounded. We would be, we waiting on other people to do it for us. But when you have that relationship, you're going to get the plan. And the plan is to build. The plan is to separate. The plan is to keep separated. The plan is to build, to manufacture, to create jobs. The plan is we had the money. Black folk have what? We had the money. We had our schools. We were building. Black Wall Street was built on us pulling our monies together. It wasn't built on religion. It was built on us having the plan, okay, with a relationship to do this thing. We came together and we trusted each other. We didn't come together with people that didn't like you because of God so loved the world. What are you talking about? It wasn't to them. That was to Black people. It had nothing to do with the world. It had everything to do with us. These people, period, us. But we included everybody in that because religion told us everybody. God loved everybody. Well, if he did, why'd you change him to be white when he was in fact Black? So the mindset changed then, okay? So the mindset changed. So instead of us continuing on, we begin to say, y'all come with us. That's not what he told you to do. Religion told you to do that. He didn't tell you to do that because Deuteronomy told you not to. He said, don't give your children to them. But they told you. God said you should love everybody. That's not what it said. Had nothing to do with that. So that's why I'm saying religion is out. Get rid of it. You don't need religion. You need relationship, because religion will keep you dumbfounded. It'll keep you obedient. It'll keep you subservient to other people, waiting for this huge white guy with blue eyes to save you, who's not coming. Caesar Borgia is not coming, because that's really who you're believing in.
So, Sister Cassie, let me just ask you this, and then I'll go to Brother Isaiah. Do you expect, or I'm gonna rephrase it. If there was Cassie land,
come on.
If there was Cassie land, would you allow those religions to be taught? And if they did not perform the duty that they're supposed to perform, what would be done with them?
We're not having it. I wouldn't even allow it. We don't need religion. You can have relationship. Relationship and religion is two totally different things. Relationship to me is going to I want to go get the plan. What's the plan? That's how you get the plan. You get quiet to get the plan. Religion does not give you the plan. Religion keeps you bowing down to another deity. Relationship says, I give you the authority to do this, this, and this. So no, we wouldn't even teach religion. We teach relationship. Relationships holds you accountable. Relationships teaches you how to continue to grow. Relationship keeps you understanding who you are and continue pouring into your Blackness, continue pouring into you, continue pouring into your mindset, continue pouring into your culture and history and who you really are. That's relationship. Religion told you that you were just a slave. Religion told you that I'm your master. Religion told you that you forgive, but I don't have to. I'm going to still have you as my slave, and I'm going to still have sex with you, but I'm going to give you the religion part of it. No, we don't need that. We need to know how to build with that relationship of building, being separate, doing what it called us to do, being separate, learning not, educating our own, manufacturing, doing what Black Wall Street did. Black Wall Street came together because they pulled their monies together. They didn't have religion. They didn't have what we have today. It was totally different. We cannot include everybody. It's not for everybody. It's not for us to keep mixing and mingling and pulling people, LGBT and all this dysfunctional in. It's us being Black, knowing we're Black, keeping our mindset and growing. That's what it's always about, growing. If you stop growing, then you got to move out the way, move over here, and let us continue moving forward.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Sister Cassie. Brother Isaiah, what say you? And please stay on topic, brother. Don't deviate to the left nor to the right, but stay on topic.
I did that. Look. Sister Cassie said exactly what I was saying, but maybe better. Maybe better. It's the same shit. You cannot be so heavenly bound that you have no earthly good. That's the religious aspect of it. The power, the three powers: politics, economics, and spirituality. Your economics will dictate the politics in which you live. We live in a capitalistic society, not a communistic one. So we can't. It's not worth talking about China. We're talking about America or the America. Money is fucking king up in this bitch. You don't have no power and no right to say a goddamn thing if you broke. I'm gonna repeat that one more time. You have no right to say a motherfucking thing if you're broke, busted, and disgusted. Always whining and moaning and bitching. Always talking about what you're gonna do, what you should have done, what you fuck all that shit. Four Black women put $25,000 apiece together, as Sister Cassie was saying, $100,000, and turned that. I think it took about 15 years. That was like 15 years ago. So I'm pretty sure they're over $1 billion now. And that way, at 15 years ago, they turned that $100,000 into $500 million. So it's all about projecting wealth, and not only projecting it, using it as a weapon. Black Wall Street talked a lot. That's the reason why white folks went around and destroyed it, because they were jealous. We were making more money than them. There were Black folks who had airplanes too. White folks had their feet to walk on. You feel what I'm saying? So you cannot economic dictate politics that dictate the laws, policies, and regulations that you live under. And when you have money, it's not so much about who's in office, it's whether or not you can dictate to them because you have economic power. This is the reason why I brought up Mississippi Power and Light. Imagine you controlling that. Or I think it's like 40, if I remember correctly, 40,000 jobs in Mississippi. You feel what I'm saying? So it counts. You cannot not think about it. Working together. Economic, how did they call it, Sister Cass? Economic unity or something like that in regard to that? That's imperative. Power concedes nothing without a demand. And when you are working in tandem with the same people, have the same vision and the same goal of taking over economically, it's going to happen. Because now you're operating at a whole different level. Here, instead of the broke ass level, then in a lottery line with $5,000, talking about you're going to win something. You got to start somewhere, baby. You just cannot bullshit your way through life and trying to hip hop and skip and jump. It don't work that way. So what I'm saying is that 500,000 people, I want to know where the money went. And, I'm not trying to think in today's money, $1 back then, it might have been 20 cents or something like that. But where did the money go?
Exactly. They had the money.
And at what point were they thinking bigger than where they were? They did. And for me, John Rogers showed me a whole nother angle. Wall Street is it. There ain't nothing else. Leverage buyouts are real. We have the ability to do that. There was a brother who oh God, I can't remember the name of the company that he was going to take over, but he died. Beatrice Foods. He was taking over Beatrice Foods. But Jesse Jackson was, buddy, and he, you know what I mean? But he died. But the idea is that he was going from $200-300 million, what the biggest black company at that point, to $2 or $3 billion company. You feel what I'm saying? But he didn't have fucking $3 billion. He used leverage in Wall Street, niggas. That's what I'm talking about. You ain't gotta have $8 billion. Use fucking leverage. That's what white folks do. Pieces of fucking paper, shares a company, corporate bond bills and notes, niggas. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Think big, think beyond where the fuck you are. That's what I'm talking about. You don't need cash. White folks don't use no motherfucking cash, nigga. I'm telling you what the fuck they use. And we got to be able to think beyond where we are. Talking about $5, $500. Well, I ain't got no $5. I need to pay my bill. My cell phone bill is $1,000, nigga. What are you talking about in your cell phone bill? What are you talking about? You ain't talking about no motherfucking money, but you got a cell phone bill for $1,000. Nigga, will sit your ass down somewhere and start reading from the book of Niggalation and start reading about your people in the past that created what we created and that will allow it to have generational wealth. I throw it back at you.
Okay, Brother Isaiah, I want to ask you, before I do that, I want to welcome Mr. Dofi to the program. I want to welcome Sankofa Spirit to the program. Peace and blessings, family. We're glad that you're with us. Brother Isaiah, Sankofa Spirit made a good point, and I want you to address it. It says that accumulating finances is not the biggest problem for our people. We have a morality issue. If the minds of our people don't change, what good is money?
That's true. I cannot argue about that. But not all black folks are bad in thinking. You have to look. I created a company, and it's in the field of finance. Period. I am associating myself with people who got money. I'm not associating myself with people who ain't got no money, who can't do shit, who don't have vision, who don't have goals, who don't have the wherewithal to get credit or whatever the case may be. But the idea is that morality, what the fuck does morality have anything to do with finance? Explain that shit, because I just don't get that one. But I would say this: if your financial acumen isn't where it's supposed to be, then you need to change. You need to grow. What's the name of that brother who be Charles something, worth $10 million, something like that? He's always on TV talking about his book and finance and stuff like that. I can't remember. Do you know that brother, Sister Cassie? Charles something? But he sells a finance book, but you can get it for free. Something like that. Charles. Yeah, he be on MSNBC, I believe. But anyway, the idea is that you can't just associate yourself with just any motherfucker. You gotta have somebody that want the same visions and goals that's gonna be pushing you. That when you are forming your corporation, when you're forming your company, when you're forming your group, they have the same goal. Now, morality, as far as that goes, being able to have the level of character and integrity and frugality and resoluteness, yes, that's very important in that respect. But I just don't know how he is defining morality issue. But if you're talking about running and scheming and hiding and stealing, then that don't play. But I believe in our people. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I believe in our people. We're the one who created Wall Street. we are the one who created the financial areas, and we are the ones who created contracts. So, this idea of giving white folk more credit than what I'm tired of that shit. I don't even want to hear it no more. Because it's not the white man, it's you. It's you. Ain't no white man stopping you from doing a motherfucking thing. Just kill him. Just that motherfucking simple. Just fucking kill him. And if you don't kill him and he take over your shit, then you allowing that shit. Do you believe that anybody that got anything gonna allow you to take it? I got what I got. I am not allowing nobody to come into my house, fuck my wife and my daughter, kill my sons, and I don't kill them. That's like fucking Israel going into Palestine and taking over what they got and then telling you I'm the owner. Man, fuck you. I throw that shit back.
All right, thank you, Brother Isaiah. But I know without any moral basis, you having money doesn't really change a bit. And I believe that's a big part of our problem. I'll let Sankofa Spirit, if they want to elaborate on what you responded with, they can. But I do want to take up that point on the part of morality. Doc, would you say, and I guess we would have to really be guessing because none of us was a part of Daddy Grace's movement, but do you believe that Daddy Grace taught them the morality aspect, taught them that you got to get up off your ass and do for self? Do you believe that he taught them a Black theology?
Yeah, I believe that he taught them, the classic lines of faith without works is dead. Because, you have to think that if his followers are not going out there and getting it, then they're not bringing it and pouring it into the coffers and into the organization. So he would definitely have taught them that. You're really talking about creating the classic model of Black power economics, which is quite simply bringing more money in than you're letting out of their circle. So yeah, I mean, he would certainly have taught that. That's kind of a standard economic philosophy for these organizations, and they're not just Black organizations, really any ethnic minority. The idea of circulating one's dollar and then building institutions off of it. And I yield.
Doc, what would you say the real role of, you can use relationships or you can lose religion, whichever you're good with, but what is the role of religion or relationships in our society towards Black people, not towards anybody else, but just towards Black people? What is that role? What is that responsibility look?
That's, I believe that it has multiple roles depending upon what house of praise that you're associated with. I can speak about the one that I'm associated with, the Church Without Walls. It is it's damn near a shrine of the Black Madonna, utilizing standard Christian philosophy. We pool our monies together, and we create safe spaces for our community. There are housing areas that, to be honest with you, if you're a member of the Church Without Walls, you're able to purchase housing through the church over there. So it is in many ways almost a attempt to create a Black Wall Street that is not necessarily confined to a certain part of the city. And I'll give you an example. If you look at our program, you have upwards of 200 to 300 Black businesses that are available for you to utilize their services. So religion, we use the word religion. It's not something that from my experience has been aimed at telling you that, wait, somebody's going to come save you. But it has definitely been aimed at showing you these different options. And this is what we can do as a collective. When tax time comes, we have our own several Black tax attorneys that are available. If you need something written, we have editors that advertise their business and what have you. And there is the supposition and the expectation that quite simply we will go ahead and pour some of that money back into the pot to make it grow and to give others grander opportunities.
All right, thank you, Doc. I'm gonna let everybody deal in with Sankofa spirits uh, question or point about morality. Sankofa spirit says one of our morality issues is the high number of broken homes. When our people create multiple children in various homes, that has an impact on wealth building. Doc, is what say you? Is that true?
It's most certainly true. The greatest building block for any great nation is the family. And we have historically, and by historically, I mean in the post civil rights period, we've not done a good job of the families. We've normalized the idea of broken homes. We've normalized the idea of single female headed households. And it's damaging the impact upon not only Black boys, but also Black girls as well, to not have a father in there. And we've also normalized this very stanky narrative that Black men ain't shit and Black women are hoes. And nothing could be further from the truth when you begin to look at who we actually are, when you deal with the actual factuals of who we are. Now, when you're talking about the impact on building wealth, Black folk historically have had challenges in regards to even understanding the science of mating. And it's amazing that we also are having challenges with the science of dying. That the science of dying and the moment of dying could be, not that we're trying to be morbid, but could be a financially lucrative moment for those within our community. Yet we see that chance wasted with GoFundMe pages because they don't have life insurance. They can barely get put into the grave. And for those of them who have decided, and I'm sure Brother Isaiah is one of these that understands that they would rather have term life insurance and take that money that they're saving to invest it within the stock market. We're not even doing that. So in many ways, we are, many of us, I'm not going to say all of us, because I believe there's many Black Americas running at the exact same time. Many of us have absolutely no idea what this life is about. And we can talk about morality all we want to. Wouldn't it be great to have those who are the most moral people have the greatest amount of economic resources so that they're able to take care of others if they choose to? And I yield, brother.
One more question, Doc. What would you call a Black person who has wealth but no morality? What would you call that person?
A fool.
Mm. Mm.
A person who is of no more help to the uplifting of the race than a person who has no money whatsoever, because your money and your resources are not going to be utilized to uplift the race. It's one of the problems that we have when we have this daunting narrative that Black women are difficult to get along with. And we leave that hanging out there with the idea that if you say Black women are difficult to get along with, then that means white women and women of other races are easier to get along with. And you have multimillionaire professional athletes who get hooked up with them, and lo and behold, these brothers are living fast lives and will die soon. And that money that is going to be left, that generational wealth, is being sucked out of Black America. So he's a fool. He has millions of dollars in there of no use to anyone, including himself, beyond just going out and buying metal trinkets, shiny, glittery jewelry. That money's going to be lost, and it's going to escape out the hands of Black America.
Awesome. Thank you, Doc. Sister Cassie, what say you?
Let's go back to Sankofa's question.
Okay.
Let's remember where it all started, family. it's almost like we blame victims for what happened, what was done to us. Let's remember how it all started. We used to be with our families. We had dads, we had moms, we had grandmas. What happened? They happened to us. We allowed them to educate us. Only a fool would allow your enemies to educate you, for one. Two, they put drugs in your neighborhood, took our men's jobs, told the women, hey, I can help you. Put our men in jail, remember? We got here on purpose. What was done to us happened to us on purpose. But what bothers me is when I hear Black folk trying to make it us our fault. It started from somewhere, Sankofa. Didn't start with us. We had our children. We had our families. We had our men. We had grandma and grandpa. But what happened? You allowed them to educate you. And what you see is what you get when you allow your enemies to educate you. So let's not sit up here and forget. Let's not act like we got here by ourselves. But we can help it starting now by re-educating ourselves. We can educate, open up our own schools for one, because that's what's not going to change with us still commingling. That's not going to happen. It's going to have to happen with folk like Doc, who's an educator of our Black children, re-educating our babies, coming together with like-minded individuals, Black educators, pulling your monies together and recreating some schools. What's going on with our principals, our docs, our Black educators? Them staying in a toxic relationship with white folk and having to be obedient to white folk rules instead of pulling monies together and let's recreate our own schools. That's the gift, right? That's your calling, right? So it's our calling to stay amongst them or to pull away from them, being separate and do something different. We can blame us for everything. That's all I hear Black folk doing, blaming us for what's going on in us. Well, you know, we don't like our. Where'd that come from? That came from them. I don't have a problem with my Black men. I don't have a problem with my husband. I don't have a problem with my kings. Okay? But we can change this shit anytime we get ready. How? By re-educating ourselves, by like-minded people coming together, pulling our doctors coming together with the nurses and recreating a wellness center and recreating some other stuff, okay? Some birthing centers. If you're telling me that white doctors or white people are doing this, that, and the other, okay, well, what are we going to do about it? We hear you, Sankofa. I hear you. But what are we going to do about it? Let's stop bitching about it and let's stop complaining about it and let's do what we put on this earth to do. Doc, you were put on this earth to mend our children, to heal our children. Let's make that happen. I was here to build. I love properties. That's my gift. Entrepreneurship, that's my gift. Okay, we all have our gifts. Why are we mixing and mingling our gifts with them? My gift is to be separated from them. I believe in buying up land, doing that now. I believe in building up our own schools, okay? But I can't do everything by myself. So let's stop blaming Black folk for where we are today. Let's get the plan together instead of having so much to say about Black people. Everything negative is all I hear about Black folk. How are we going to fix it? Let's build some schools, even if you start online. Even if you pull some principals and teachers together and say, you guys, look, this is the plan. We're going to come up with our own Black curriculum. We're going to do something different. That's not what we're doing. Let's stop saying, whoa, what, blah, woo, woo, woo. Big deal. Okay, well, let's change the dynamics. I'm sick of what I'm seeing. What am I doing? I'm building. I have a foundation. I'm building homes. I'm building. What are you doing about it besides sitting up there complaining about what white folk doing? I'm tired of hearing it. Let's make it happen. We got beautiful Black folk on this panel that can build some things now. Are we ready to do it? What are we ready to do? We're not having this show just to be having a show. I hope. I believe in building. I believe in doing something different. I believe in re-education. I don't believe getting into their educational system if I have a PhD and I'm going to just stay in there. No, pull away. Let's re-educate our babies, not the way they tell you to. Let's create our birthing centers, nurses, doctors, Let's do something different. I'm tired of what I see. How about y'all? Are we tired yet?
Mhm.
I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of what I see. I'm sick of this justice system. I believe in separation. I believe in pulling our monies together, Brother Maurice, and buying up some land and creating our own. You could be our mayor. You could be our governor. We'll take you. I'm just saying. We got to do something different. I rest my mic.
Excellent, excellent. Sankofa Spirit made a reply, Sister Cassie, and I believe it's to you. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to reply. He says that that's nonsense. I was born and raised in the projects, and my mom was on welfare after my daddy died. All of my siblings and myself are successful because of the morality my parents taught us.
What part is nonsense? What part? You educating? What part did I say was nonsense? Did they not drop drugs in our neighborhood? Are they not educating our children? Do we not see a moral issue because they present you with sexy red videos, Cardi B's? Okay. Are they not presenting you with that garbage? Are we not presenting our children with this? Nonsense is what? Talk to me. Tell me what part is nonsense. Why don't you come on here and talk to me? Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Every family is different. You just happen to be one of a million that didn't go the wrong way. But we have a lot of children that grew up in the projects, and they're a product of their environment. So what's nonsense about it? You can type all you want, but what's nonsense about it? Let's come on here and talk.
Definitely.
I believe that every child is different. Yes, we had some children that's grown up in a project that's in a product of their environment. Okay, they become what they are around. If your father's abusive, you become an abusive father sometimes. 9 times, not one time out of a million, you're not. Okay, that's because you probably had a mentor that taught you the right way. But if I grow up in a project and I grow up around drugs, I'm a product of that. I may either come out to be a drug dealer or I'm gonna do drugs. Okay, unless I have a positive mindset, a person around me that's going to show me a different way, I don't know a different way. So he was just fortunate enough for it not to affect his life. Praise God for him. But how many grew up with that same family dynamic and still in the same predicament that's living the same thing that they grew up with now? I'm just saying. Come on, let's talk about it.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I dropped the link in there if Sankofa Spirit wanted to come up, or if anybody wanted to come up to be a part of the conversation. The link is in the chat. You can most surely do that. Brother
I
Isaiah?
hear the nonsense part about it. I just want to know.
Yeah. Hats off to Sankofa and everybody that come from nothing to something, because within that person was a seed to do well. And the water or the inspiration, which could be the water that is feeding that seed of desire, is what must be utilized to the fullest. Now, I can remember, reading about the young black girls, young black boys. They had nothing and nobody.
Right.
Their family didn't want them. But something deep inside them told them to not give up. To make a long story short, they were eating out of garbage can. They were studying. They never stopped going to school. They finished at the top of the high school and finally went into Harvard and all of that. So what I'm trying to say is, and I'm just looking at this guy on YouTube. He was making $300 a week. Now he's making $100 million deal. His name is Charles King. So with a vision and desire and the know-how, you can make it. And with the right people around you, if you got the like Sister Cassie just said,
you got to have the right people.
don't make this shit hard. Please don't.
Mhm.
Money is not hard to make. Simple. It's simple to make, but it's not overly complicated. Don't do that. And the reason why people have fucking failure in myopic vision, if I can use that word, because they don't know. If you don't know, don't say I can't. Because when you say you can't, you are really saying you don't know. But once you begin to affiliate yourself, like I did, I was blessed with John Rogers. I met him. I prayed to God for a quick second, and then I concentrated on the universe to bring me into a different set of people and different set of mindsets. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Reverend Ike shit. Manifesting the things that you want to exist in your fucking life, nigga. There's absolutely nothing that you cannot do. Even Jesus said, you can do what I did and even more. There ain't wasn't shit special about that motherfucker. Excuse me for offending anybody. I really don't give a fuck. But I'm just telling you. You can do more than Jesus, Buddha, Allah, and Christ. Combined. It depends on you and your motivation, where you want to be and how you see yourself. You must see yourself as a God. It's in you. And everything that you ever dreamed of, everything that you've wished for, it can be and will be manifested in your life, good or bad. But the God in you determines in which direction you go. You're either going to go in the godly way, or you're going to go down the road of destruction with the 70 deadly sins and the devil road. So what Sankofa talking about, what Sister Cassie just said, don't make life hard. We all were born, we're all going to die. You live, love, laugh, and learn. And you live, love, laugh, and learn with all your heart, soul, and mind. And you learn to be happy. Happiness means doing the thing or things in your life that give you meaning, purpose, sense of direction, and fulfillment. That's happiness. Ain't no because I got $1 million, I'm happy now, nigga. That shit that don't last. Okay, that don't in. That don't last. So I'm getting a little kiss from my wife. She just got in. I have my private moment. You know how that goes. But now the kids are back, so now I got to do with all this noise. But the idea is that don't ever allow anybody to tell you where you can and where you cannot go, what you can do, what you cannot do. The sky's the limit. There is no motherfucking limit. But when you have it within you, and a perfect example again, John Rogers for me. I was just coming out. I was 2 years. No, I was 1 year from high school, graduating. He just graduated from Princeton with a degree. That's it. But he had a dream. His mother well connected. I met her. I met a beautiful woman, beautiful black woman. She can help you to do whatever you want. His father, a sitting judge on the county court. Beautiful family. Help me to understand the importance of connections, the importance of positive affiliations. Not hanging around a bunch of motherfuckers that ain't got shit, don't want shit, ain't about shit. Fuck all that shit. You gotta let some people go in order to be where you want to be. What's the name of that rapper from New Orleans? God damn it. He started selling his records from his trunk. Master P. He was trying to tell niggas, come on. We're going to get rich. Come on. We're going to make it. Do you understand what the fuck I'm telling you? Selling motherfucking CD from the back. I don't know. I don't see it. Nigga, fuck you in your sight. You blind like a motherfucker. I see it. Master P saw it. And now look at him. He had to leave all them dead-ass niggas alone. I rest my fucking case.
All right. Thank you, Brother Isaiah. And Sister Cassie, we have Sankofa Spirit on the program. Peace and blessings, Sankofa Spirit.
Welcome, Sankofa.
Yes, hi, good evening, everyone.
Good
How are you?
evening.
I'm good. How's everyone on the panel?
Amazing.
We good. We good.
We're good. Well, welcome to the
We
program.
good. You
So
got you
I,
got our full attention.
yes, so I wanted to come on because Sister Cassie said that she wanted me to explain what I meant by it's nonsense. So here's my explanation. I was listening in and I heard Sister Cassie say earlier on that we need to do away with religion and focus on relationships. And I agree there. Because the Christian religion has put us in a mindset that has pretty much um, brainwashed us into believing that we can't move forward without the Most High God coming down and correcting everything for us. And while we do need God in order to be successful at anything that we do, I do agree that He is waiting for us to make moves. He is waiting for us to change. Because, like Sister Cassie also said earlier on, we invited people in to something that they were never meant to be a part of. If we believe and we understand that Black people are the children of the Bible, of the book, then we understand the reason why we are in the condition and the situation that we're in. Because if we are the people that was brought to all four corners of the earth by ships into slavery because of our disobedience, which referring to our ancestors, we also know what the resolution is. It's not religion, it's not trying to be one with other people. We are supposed to come out from among them and be separate. So we are not supposed to look like the world. And the Bible teaches us that at the point that we turn away from wickedness and we live a moral life the way that the Most High has told us to live, and we cry out to Him, then He would return and He would heal our land. Now, not it doesn't necessarily mean that He's going to crack the sky and come down, but He's letting us know when you guys start living the right way and stop being wicked, I'll give you what you want. I believe that God is all knowing and all powerful, and that our people are in the condition that we remain in because we're not changing, because we're continuing to be disobedient. I know God is powerful and He can do great things in our lives. He's done it in the lives of myself and my siblings, but there are so many of us out there that refuse to do right, refuse to turn away. And at this point, I don't believe it's fair to say that it's all coming from the outside of our community because that's just not true. Yes, the government did drop drugs in our community. They did make sure that our people was hooked on crack and then said, um, um, don't do drugs. Drugs is bad. But then fast forward to present day when their people are hooked on drugs, it's a health crisis. It's an issue now. And they realize, oh, well, we did it wrong when we were dealing with Black people. Are they apologetic? No, they're just trying to make themselves look like they give a damn when they actually don't. But and I have aunts that were on drugs, that passed away because of drugs. So I get it. I grew up in New York City. I seen some of the most horrible things that a young person should never have to see. But at some point, somebody has to say, enough is enough. We have to start having people wake up and stop thinking that it's okay to keep on saying they did this, they did this, they did this. We know that they're wicked. We know that they hate us. We know that they will do things to try to sabotage us. But at this point, present day, they don't got to do nothing. We're doing it for them now. They don't get me wrong. They still commit atrocities against us today. But so many Black people are so comfortable with what was done to us that they're not fighting because they think that's a valid excuse. Just like so many Christians are comfortable with, I don't have to fight back or do anything to change my life because God's going to come and take care of it, that they're not doing any of the work. So when I say that's nonsense, that's what I'm referring to. Because if you believe the Bible, the Most High says when He returns that there will be a remnant that still believe. He says that 2/3 are going to get wiped from this earth. So there won't be a lot of us left. So for me personally, I'm not saying we shouldn't try to help all of our people try to get there, but I do understand we're all not going to wake up. We're all not going to make it there. Money's not going to solve it. We have so many people in our community that if they were to get reparations today, they would be buying crap. They would be getting BBLs. They will be worried about getting their lace front done and their baby hairs laid. That's what I mean by we got to change the minds of our people, because there's not enough of us and high enough numbers where if we do get something that we can build the way we want to or the way we should to get that Black Wall Street back, to get these things back that were taken from us, because during the 50s and the 60s, we didn't have issues with having two parents in the household. That was other communities. So we were flourishing. And I do agree, we didn't need to be integrating. We needed to remain separate. Now, that's the fault of leaders that encouraged our people that was the way to go. They were wrong. And like Martin Luther King admitted that he believes he integrated his people into a burning house. So I get it that, how we got here. But at some point, we got to say, all right, it's time to wake up. How do we go about changing this? And we're going to lose some of our people if we are successful, because a lot of our people will screw us over. They'll throw us to the wolves. They'll go and dime us out to others to say what we have planned and what we're trying to do, because their minds are messed up. The sexy reds and this, that, and the thirds that's out there. Yes, they get platforms because you got people that are non-Black people that are giving them money and pumping that crap out there. But even if that stuff is out there, if within our households we have strong parents that teach their kids the way they should go, the Bible says train them up the way they should go, and when they get old, they won't depart from it. I believe that is true. I made mistakes. I did my own thing when I went away to college and things like that, and things that my parents wouldn't approve of. But somehow or another, I always came back to what was right because they planted that seed within me of what the right thing is to do. So if we don't have people planting those seeds in our young people, we are screwed. We will continue to see situations get worse and worse. When I was a teenager, it was like, oh no, a big deal for a young girl to get pregnant. Like, oh, she's a teen and she's pregnant. Now it's commonplace. She's 23 and she has 5 kids and she got killed and she didn't have life insurance and there's a GoFundMe and who's going to take care of the 5 kids? I'm not trying to victim blame our people, but at some point we have got to do better. Nobody is going to come and do it for us. And those of us like myself, like you all in the panel, you all in the chat, we are the very few, as you can see, it's a few of us that are thinking in this way. So we can't always say, okay, well, this is what was done to us. I think we should bring back shaming people to a certain degree. Because anytime I try to educate younger people, I'm in my 40s, when I try to educate younger people and talk to the younger girls in their 20s and things and try to show them, like, listen, like, you don't want to do it like this. Oh, you a hater. Oh, well, so-and-so was doing this, but she got money. She got money. How do we get through to them? They don't even care about what happened to our ancestors or what was going on during the civil rights movement. Right now, it's all about getting to the bag. As long as you get into the bag, we don't care how you get there. That's my reason for saying money doesn't matter if we don't have morality. Because if you get $1 million tomorrow, what are you going to do with it? My dad used to say something to us all the time when we was kids, when we get out a little bit of money. Every time y'all get some money, first thing y'all do is go give it back to the white man. He used to say that all the time. So we was to give all of our people $500,000. Where's the majority of that money going? We need to change their minds first. I'm sorry, brother, but they're not thinking about the stock market. Some of us are. Some of us are. So I have friends that do a monthly podcast about getting Black people to invest in the stock market. People I went to high school with, that's where their minds are now. But the majority of our people aren't thinking like that. They're thinking, if I got some money, I want to flex. I want to show you my car. Our women are going to get their bodies done, which to me is insane. You know, they're not thinking along the lines of investing. Let's homeschool our children or build our own school so that we can educate them. So that's where I'm coming from. And hopefully I didn't offend anybody by my comments, but I just wanted to come on here quickly and just express that and give a little bit of clarity.
We appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I understood, but now by hearing you, I understand what you're saying. And I kind of was thinking I was saying the same thing. So we're kind of on the same line. But I do believe that it's going to take Most High to wake us up. You know, we can't wake anybody up. We can put it out there, but until we start re-educating our own babies, that's where it's going to start. These young girls ain't listening to nobody because of the educational system that they're in that's designed for us not to listen. It's all designed. It's wild kingdom up in these schools. And I'm sure Doc can tell you some scary stories. It's a mess for a reason. Because if I don't have you, if I
And
can't,
I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And all I for
uh-huh.
well, all I want is for our people to just not be caught up in the I got an excuse for why I'm being lazy or why I'm not trying. You know, like, yeah, we went through this stuff, but now it's time to fight. Now it's time to get up and change things because nobody's coming to do it for us. And some of our people are so caught up in that forgiveness nonsense and, oh, God will get them and God will take care of it. No, God is counting on you to change the way you think, the way you live, so that He can come in and assist you with what needs to be done.
But that's what religion has done to us.
Okay,
Right?
I'm done, panel. I'm sorry. I got to get back to cooking.
Thank you. We appreciate you, sister.
I want to say something. She was very right. A lot of people aren't into stock, bond, commodity, futures, options. But there's only 3 damn ways to make money. Through the stock market and those associated ways. Starting a business or product with a service that people need and want. Or real estate. That's it.
Real estate.
And
Right.
like she was saying, a lot of people just want the bag. And to be honest with you, I just saw a very disgusting and sad commentary with Steve Harvey. He was talking about, shoot, I do it. If a motherfucker wanted to give me $4 million to act like a monkey, I'm gonna be a monkey. Like, you see what that's the immorality of his mind selling out. You feel what I'm saying? You should have seen the expressions on his face. Why are we following fools like this dumb nigga? And everybody else that's going around like this sold their asses out. Literally. You feel what I'm saying? So we got to get beyond. I didn't know she was. That was a sister. I thought she was a dude. But anyway, we got to get it together, and we are getting it together. I would never ever give up on our people. You know what I mean? Because we come a long way, and we're circling back to our ancestral ways of doing things. That's the answer. And through unity and through our educational system that we had in the Black Wall Street and keeping white folks out, that was the answer. White folks are not as smart as we are. They're not.
Never have been.
And we did better on standardized tests back in the 20s. We were going 40, 50 points higher than white folks.
But look what happened when you allow them to educate you, they dunned you down. You have to understand, if that educational system was good for our babies, our children wouldn't be in them. They knew that, guess what? We're going to form this thing. We're going to take away the rules, and we're going to send their asses to the next prison over here that we building, the 45 bed right there. So we have to understand that. But until Black folk wake up, because nothing's going to change unless we educate our own babies, period. We'll never.
You know what else, Cassie? Just to throw out a fact. Let me take that back. Before 1965, going back, do you know what percentage of people were in jail? 90% of the people that were in jail were white folk. They're the criminal-minded motherfuckers. But if you allow them to project on TV, in magazines, in radio, or whatever the social media is now, you would think they goddamn angels. But they ain't shit. I'll throw it right back at you.
All right. Thank you, Brother Isaiah. And I want to thank Sankofa for coming on and giving her energy to the conversation, which makes much more sense. And you all are always welcome to come on the panel and speak and say what you got to say, because that's what we want to hear. It takes the ideas and the understanding for us all, for us to see the clearer picture and be where we need to be. And I thank her for doing that. We are out of time. We're over time, matter of fact. This is a great conversation to have. I had a few videos that I wanted to show of Daddy Grace doing his thing. But I think we need to go ahead and I need to bring this dog in. So we're going to have to go ahead and close out because he out there barking like he crazy.
Picking up the neighbors.
Exactly.
He calling his poppy. Come on, get me. What's wrong with you?
You know, in y'all closing, I would like y'all to address the question that I'm about to ask, or the statement that I'm about to make. I believe those who are religious leaders that get up in front of our people and lie and don't elevate our people, but up there just to make money from our people, I truly believe they deserve to have their head cut off. When I come to power, definitely I will not have a problem in shutting a church, mosque, synagogue, whatever it is, down, because it's not elevating the people, it's hurting our people. Or do you believe we are at that time that we should be able to make such judgments and then carry it into effect? So use that question in your closing comments. And since Brother Isaiah was the last to get on, I'll let you be the first to do with your closing comments, and stick to the damn closing comment thing and don't go overboard.
I don't want to be the first. Ladies first. Go ahead, Sister Cass. Take him down, baby.
Oh my goodness. Well, I get to be first. I believe that the churches should be shut down. And I believe that now it's coming down now. As we look around, the main people that we really believe was really there or making a difference, or not even making a difference, but just sounding good. He's bringing them down now. I do believe that. And I'm going to tell you, like I said, it wouldn't be religion. I believe in relationship. It's not about religion, because I'm looking at the religion. Look at the religion. The religion, if we as Black folk really went along with the Bible, we wouldn't be voting. We wouldn't be standing behind the LGBT. We wouldn't be allowing pork chop pastors to bring anybody in the midst of us to talk about voting. We wouldn't be doing any of that. This is on us. What you see right now, we can change anytime we get ready. What would Christmas look like? What would it have looked like the last Christmas if nobody went out and spent any money, and you spent all that money toward building, toward purchasing a house, purchasing a car, getting schools together, bringing those monies together and building our own schools? What do you think this Christmas would have looked like if we took our money and started building, doing something different? And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take us educating our own babies. In order for anything to be redirected, in order to have change, to see change, it's going to take us totally educating our own. Because right now, these churches aren't doing any good to us or for us, because they don't talk about true Black issues. They're not talking about the police brutality. They're not talking about why our boys are acting the way they are. They're not chastising the women or the men for stepping out of the kingship position, and the women for taking their positions. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about the real Black issues of Black America, Black families. They don't talk about how we got here. They don't talk about the conclusion of the matter is, what is the next step? Black churches aren't talking about that. Nobody's telling us that. Nobody's bringing it up as an issue. We celebrate little girls having babies now. We celebrate the LGBT. You had a whole president, a Black one at that, who came on national television and praised a basketball player that came out the closet telling me he was LGBT. Who cares? That was your Black president. Then you had a whole Black president that said, okay, we're going to nationalize it. Come on. We got to come back. We didn't get too far out. It's time to rein that stuff in. Rein it in. In Cassie City, all that stuff wouldn't be allowed anyway. We don't need to promote LGBT. We need to talk about Black issues and keep it to the forefront. And like I said, those churches would be shut down. You wouldn't even be able to have a church. What do you need it for? Let's come together and talk about the Black issue. Just like if our churches were, in fact, where they need to be, they would have been bringing up the issues The leaders would have been talking about it. The pastors would have been talking about what's going on in the Black community with the fathers, and would have been chastising them. Y'all get your asses back home. Get on back in your places. Nobody chastised them for leaving that throne. Nobody. You turned around and said, "Oh, the Black woman." No, God put you in charge. And guess who he's holding accountable for your home being torn up? The Black man. Oh, you think he's not gonna deal with y'all? Oh, he gonna deal with y'all. He dealing with you every day. Because most of these guys, if we really looked into their background, who's being murdered by police, are the ones dealing with white women. Now, let's really be honest. And if we really, really, really looked at that thing, because the one that got killed by the half officers, the Black officers, was in fact had a snow bunny, right? Okay, this is what happens. Disobedience counts. There's a cost for disobedience. So I do believe that no, churches should be shut totally down. They wouldn't be in the new world if I was president. They wouldn't exist. I rest my mic.
Excellent. Thank you, Sister Cassie. Doc?
The thing is that I go to a radical church, I guess, Church Without Walls, Pastor Ralph Douglas West. If anybody wants to hear Black liberation, Black power preaching, Pastor West is one of the best to ever do it. Because I belong to a revolutionary leaning church, I hesitate to say that we should shut down churches. I believe that we should reform churches. And we need to come up with our own theological schools and our own criterion on what it is that we are going to feed the masses of people. So the Black church needs to be reformed, redirected, reformed. It's where the majority of our people are at, and even in saying that, it's really reflective of how divided Black America actually is. So I'm not for ending the church, but I'm definitely for reforming it, because by and large, that's where the majority of our people are at on a Sunday morning. And if we can reach them with a message that is liberating, that is focused upon us, who can be against us? And I yield, brother.
Doc, let me just ask you, what does that reform look like?
Closing remarks, brother.
It is, but you just said something I got to know the answer to. What does that reform process look like?
I don't know. Because you're one of the primary problems that you're going to have is that so many Black churches are a part of a larger body. Like the Baptist Church, they have a Southern Baptist Convention and what have you. I don't know if you can really do much with that, because they are their own independent entity, and they promote who they want to, and they place pastors wherever they want to throughout the nation. I'm talking about what Sister Cassie would talk about, which is quite simply educating your own. I believe that we need to put our Black pastors through 4 years of African American studies, another 3 to 4 years of Black hermeneutics, so that they are speaking directly to Black America and not taking what they've learned from white folk who have fashioned a God and a religion to serve their interests, and then bringing it back to Black America. So that's the best I got for you. I don't know how you undo it, because education is like culture. Once it gets rolling, it's rolling. And so to undo that, to correct it, I don't know. I just know that probably your best tactic would be to join a church that speaks to you. I tried many churches before I found the Church Without Walls.
Can I ask the question, Doc?
Hell no, this is closing comment.
I know, but you said something. I'm just saying. Hold on, come on.
Let's go. Let's roll with it. Let's roll with
Doc.
it.
Just one question.
Go ahead.
You said that you go to a church. Now it's without walls, and it's doing
it's called the Church Without Walls.
Okay, but Ralph you said Douglas the ministry West. Does what? You said the ministry is I'm trying to understand what.
The Church Without Walls probably has 80 different ministries reaching out to the community. Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church, another church that I was affiliated with previously, they are centers that reach out to. It's what they do, and like-minded people find their self to those pulpits, to those pews, because we want to do something substantial to help Black America. They are activist churches. They're not the brother the old pastor Reverend Lawson at Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church, the one I just mentioned. When he would go on vacation for a month during the summer, Jeremiah Wright would come in and lead sermons every Sunday from that pulpit. So that's the type, the brother that was like, God, damn America, Wright, that was Obama's pastor. So those are there is a Christian subculture of still Black nationalist preachers going on, and the thing is that it creates that same philosophical dilemma. If a tree falls in the woods and there's no one there to hear it, doesn't make a sound. Well, if a Black revolutionary pastor like Ralph Douglas West gets up and preaches, and white folk ain't there to tape it and to broadcast it throughout the nation, did he really preach? The truth of the matter is yeah, he preached, but he's preaching to those of us who are like-minded with him already. We good?
We good, thank you.
Okay. And if any of you want to hear my pastor preach, all you gotta do is type in the Church Without Walls on YouTube, and or tcww.org or com, and he shall surely come. And make sure you listen to Ralph West, not one of his sons.
We're gonna pass on that one, but no, I'm kidding.
The son ain't doing it. The son ain't, he ain't got it. He ain't got it. He out here dirty macking.
Okay, thanks, Doc. All right, Brother Isaiah, come on in.
All right, my turn, huh? All right,
Yeah.
bet. Look, when we start ourselves as gods, we build pyramids. Now that we're building churches outside of us, we're waiting on a sky dive or a sky mine. Espérate, estoy hablando, hey. We're waiting on a sky dive that somebody else like Sister Sankofa was talking about. You got to cut that loose. We got to go back to how our ancestors did it. It is within you. Is the power. Everything outside of you is in you. Everything in you is outside of you. Can you guys see my? Hold on. How did I do that? I want to share something with you. It's not that long. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. It's not that long of a video, but hold on. Okay. Here we go. I hope it. Can you guys see that? With
Yes.
TJ with some boy in a police uniform, and he got his hand in his pocket holding his dick, trying not to get hard. You see that? You see that?
Wow, I'm done. Wow.
Yeah.
Where in the world? What in the world?
Yeah. But this is what I'm talking about. When you're so heavenly bound and the masses of the people are caught up in heaven, in the sky, daddy, that they cannot see the power within themselves, and they get hooked, line and sinker, and stuck it into this bullshit. Fuck TD Jakes and all these TV preachers and all this bullshit. They own some powerful shit that don't mean anything. And what I'm trying to say is that the church is with you, within you. Jesus said, as I have done, so can you do and more. Ain't wasn't nothing special about him. If he existed, he took a shit just like anybody else, and I'm quite sure his shit stank. I'm just keeping this shit real. Nothing special about Abraham either, or Moses either, or Muhammad either, or Buddha either. But great people, great women in our history, in our ancestral pool, in our Akashic record that we can pull from. So the idea is to be able to stand upon the shoulders of our ancestors, to be able to look beyond where we are, and to be able to project ourselves and our thoughts and our words and our deeds into the future, so that the future generations of then will be able to look back and say, wow, Brother Muhammad, Doc, Sister Cassie, and I, and anybody else laid the foundation for us to stand on. And one of the biggest thing about that is that 1,000 years ago, Palestine was put into a trust by our Moorish ancestors because they could see it happening. So all this discussion and fighting and all this shit happening in Palestine, all that shit don't even count. You see what I'm saying? We gotta project and be able to see, because that was the power of our ancestors, to be able to, if you know history, if you know the past, you can understand the present and project the future. Real simple, because humanity and human beings are repeatable animals. We do things by habit. History repeats itself. And so when we're looking at it right now, all the things that are happening, the tables are turning 180 degrees to our favor. White folks ain't in control like you think. And as a spiritual being, we got to understand that. They ain't running shit. They ain't running shit. Fuck the white man, his bitch, and his kids. Because the sins of the father and mothers and all of the inequities shall be visited upon them, and it is visiting upon them now. They're suffering. They're scared. And I'm telling you, get ready, black man. Get ready, black woman. Your days upon the earth is forever. These raggedy motherfuckers ain't gonna be around for long. They getting their asses up out of here. Period.
All right. Thank you, Brother Isaiah. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Sister Cassie. This was, again, a great program that we have done. Thank y'all for your energy, your life, your time that you decided to share with us. I just want to say this. When we're thinking about this thing that is called religion, and understanding that there are what I would consider to be two gods. There's our God, and then there's the false God, or there's Satan. And our God is not their God. Our God is not their God. So when a preacher comes along and is speaking the religion or the teachings that the white man gave them, that's not a salvation gospel. So the reason that Daddy Grace can have 500,000 followers, if he's giving them the same thing that the white man gave him, he's not giving you freedom. He's not giving you liberation. If they're painting that mind, your mind, with a God that don't look like you, he's helping to maintain your enslavement. And this is something that we have to understand. This is something that we have to know. We have to be able to break the chains that hold us to be locked into this man's system and their ways. We have to come out from amongst them. We have to be separate. That is what our God desires for us, to be separate. One thing, when I talk to Christians and I ask them, where was Jesus from? If they tell me, oh, he from the Middle East, he wasn't black like us, you a liar. You are following Satan. There's not a damn thing that you can teach me. Ain't nothing you can tell me. because you are a liar. You are a liar. And our people have been put to sleep by too many liars, way too many liars. Doc, I'm glad you gave out your pastor's thing so people can go and see it, because our people want to be taught right. And there's not many out there who will teach you right. And so, you know, it's a must that you have right guidance. So I definitely advocate that if that's in your frame, then you go to Doc's church online and look at it. And like he said, look at Ralph West. That's the name of the pastor that you should be listening to. It's a liberating theology, because we need to be liberated here. If you're not liberated here, you'll never be free nowhere else, because this is where it starts. This is where it starts, and this is where it ends. So we have to get it together and let us do the things that's necessary for us to be successful. So as we always say, you kill the nigga in you, I'm going to kill the nigga in me, and our God will reign supreme. We are Black first, today, tomorrow, and forever. Love you, family. Peace and blessings.
Stay black.
Welcome.
So you better get the message and get it straight. You're going to need some bridge work. It's simple as that. Because we're living in judgment. We're living in implementation.